There he is, just came in. Stand up, Matt. Stand up, David. Hey, guys. These brothers are from Arkansas.
Go Hogs!
And Jimmy McGill, who is our keynote speaker. Do they live at Next Step?
They do.
All right, so Jimmy was at Next Step in Arkansas. He walked through a room. He saw how crazy they were. He's like, y'all gotta come on. And he bought a ticket and brought y'all up and did it. Did you know you was coming yesterday?
Not until yesterday.
Well, welcome to Illinois, man. We're happy you're here, man. It's been a pleasure. Take some of this Illinois law back, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So listen, we have a program that we work with a few different RCOs where we are trying to help people who are trying to get organizations going. We're trying to lift them up. So we do technical assistance, we do monthly meetings where we train, we introduce them to other people that are trying to do the same thing. And so the next two guys that we're going to speak are part of that, what we call the Recovery United Task Force. And there's still openings if you got an idea. Please understand, everything that you're involved in right now, Sauk Valley Voices of Recovery, RecoverCon, all of this, at one point was just a crazy ass idea, right? It was me sitting in a room being like, you know what we need? And then I found people to come alongside me and support me. And you know, I was telling my associate Lauren just a little while ago, like I'm super, super emotional because, oh my God. So you see that woman that's just sitting down? She and I got sober together, what, 16, 17 years ago? Okay. Up in Rockford, and now she owns a counseling center and a behavioral health ward, right?
Every Foundation Center.
Oh, look at that. I'm sure she had a business card.
I do.
But, you know, so great things can happen.
I have mine.
Great things can happen. You know, just blows me away. But anyway, so the first brother I'm going to bring up is working with people in prisons and jails. Let him tell you why he's doing that. Aaron Smith.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I'm a little tall, so I got to adjust this thing here. All right. As Gerald just mentioned, my name is Aaron Smith. I have a company called Escape the Odds, Media and Education. And one of the core things that we do is we go inside of correctional facilities and we do education courses, just reentry as a whole. And so I wanted to get more into the housing aspect of things. One of the biggest reasons that you can't talk about reentry and not talk about recovery and vice versa, right? Because just doing a little bit of research, I found that about 3/4 of the people that's directly impacted by the criminal justice system have spent some time or have some kind of substance use, whether it's alcohol or whatever, right? But there's other addictions as well, right? We got gambling, we got criminal lifestyle, the whole nine. And so I'm going to tell you all the story and get really vulnerable. This is one of the first time I actually told this piece of my story. And I think it's very befitting for the audience. I just want you guys to give me the grace with that. And so I grew up south side of Chicago. I'm a 90s baby, as I would like to say. And early on, I got introduced to drugs, right? But not in the way you all may think. I was about 7, 8 years old, and living in the housing projects, like, drugs ran rampant. It's like, that's what it was, right? And so outside my window, I would see these long lines forming, right? And I knew too much as a kid, right? I knew that they wasn't standing in line for like free cheese, right? It wasn't that, right? Like it was their drug of choice was heroin, right? So that was really big in our housing project. Well, how many of you all seen the movie The Wire? Right, pretty popular show. So that was pretty much what I seen coming up in the 80s, 90s, stuff like that. And so I remember the people that was suffering through substance abuse, they were demonized, right? We're talking about the crack era. We're talking about songs like Your Mama on Crack Rock. You know, it was all these negative. We got New Jack City, right? So now the dealer is being glorified, right? And the victim, the substance user, is being demonized. And so I bought into that stigma. I had people really close to me that were addicted to drugs. And so I said, that ain't gonna be me. Like, I know to stay away from drugs. However, there was a flip side to that, right? I'm in poverty, right? Living in a housing project. I knew even as a young boy that I wanted to get out of poverty. And I knew education was the route, but I also knew the faster route too, right? That these same men that I seen hanging up under my project building with the gold chains and the BMWs and things of that nature, they're literally throwing money in the air as a kid. And so you're like, wow, right? Like, as I think back, I made that decision to go that route and not the other route, right? Because I didn't want to be looked at as, and excuse my language, like dope fiend, crackhead, stuff like that, right? That wasn't going to be my lot in life. But this could get me out of this situation. And so that's where my trek started, right? So at the age of 15, I started selling marijuana. So that was my gateway drug into the game, right? 15, started selling. I didn't use drugs, so it was easy for me to sell marijuana, right? All my friends used it. You know, it was like a softer kind of a drug, and I felt kind of safe, you know, kind of dealing with drugs, and that escalated, right? I started selling cocaine in high school, but I'm an average student, though, right? I graduated from high school, even went to college, got a business degree, right? All numbers were always my thing, business was just my thing, right? And I took that business and I used it in the wrong way. And so now, those men that I seen when I was 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, in my building, running a heroin operation, that became me, right? So now, I'm 22, 23, 24 years old with a college degree, and I'm running a heroin operation, making tens of thousands of dollars a day, right? So I had no incentive to do anything differently. So, and I also didn't have any empathy for the user, right? All I seen was product, money. There was no middleman. Like, I didn't see that human side of things. So when I walked in this room today, it almost brought tears to my eyes. Like, wow, like this is like, that's the result of that. And so time went on, and in 2006, I was indicted by the federal government for conspiracy to distribute heroin and fentanyl. And this is before fentanyl was really what it is today, right? This was too early, late 2005, 2004. We were getting, I was part of a large operation. It was like 47 people that was indicted at the time in my housing project. And unbeknownst to me at the time, and this is no excuse, right, because I don't get into everything with that. Unbeknownst to me at the time, like this heroin was laced, right, with fentanyl, right, from the Mexican supplies, right? But one thing, as you may know about heroin, is that it's a need to use it, right? The body is telling me I need to use this stuff, right? And so the more people that they heard about these non-fatal overdoses, the more people came to buy the drug, right? So now in my little warped mind, I'm conflicted, right? See, you can know right from wrong, but when you get so entrenched in something, in a lifestyle, you don't see the human side of things, right? I just see the money that was coming in every day. So I didn't really see the person that was really being impacted by the use of my drugs. So that whole thing was going on. I started to feel numb about things. And, you know, every now and then the conscience kind of kicked in. I wasn't raised this way. I got caught in the system, and I made these choices. It was all on me. And 3 months after my initial indictment, some of you all who have maybe been incarcerated before understand this term, right? I was superseded, which means that they took my current indictment and they superseded that, right? It went, more charges came, and those charges were serious. Now, I was charged with conspiracy to distribute heroin and fentanyl resulting in death. And that's when it really hit me, right? It wasn't so much about the death, although that really hit me, but now I knew that the consequences was much more severe now, right? But about 9 months prior to that, my brother was murdered. This is the reason I bring that up. And I had so much pain and anguish in me as it relates to that. And I said, man, you know, I just wish, man, like this person, I had all kind of thoughts in my mind about the person that was responsible. And a small voice said, man, like, how could you feel this way when you're responsible for the death of someone else, right? Like, you have to be forgiven just like you want to, you know? And so I grappled with that, and eventually I ended up pleading guilty to 12 years in the federal system. And I was released in February of 2019 after 9 years and 5 months incarcerated. And it was during that time, well, actually, I'll take it back, so it wasn't just during that time. During my sentencing hearing, which was April 23rd, 2009, by this time, I've been fighting this case for a couple years now. I'm kind of settled in. I kind of know that I'm going to prison. I even accepted the fact that I was responsible for someone's death, which is really hard for me to kind of do, right? Because now, it's kind of like I'm out of the life now, kind of maybe similar to someone that may be off of that substance. Now they can think clearer now. And so I'm like, wow, you know, that really affected me. And it hit me even harder when I stood in the courtroom and it was a victim impact statement. So I had a chance to hear from the mother of the son. And it was crazy. Like when I walked in here, I seen all these pictures, and I walked around to see if I recognized the name of the gentleman. And thankfully I didn't, because I don't know if I would have been able to do this far. I'm sorry. So I got past that, big hearing just like the life of this person. And for like the first time, I'm able to see the human side of this person, right? Although I read the names and the paperwork and the court documents and things of that nature, but I didn't really see who this person was. And right then and there, it's like, if they would have told me I was 25 years, I would have took that, right? Just because I knew that I wanted to pay back. Like, whatever it was going to be, I was okay with that. And so by the grace of God, you know, I was able to, I got 12 years and I was released, right? And just during this time, it's really just got back to the essence of who I was. And so that's why I do the work that I do now. Just being able to change the narrative of people that's like myself, right? Because some of you may be currently experiencing substance use, right? Or some of you have lost love or fear of losing your loved ones relates to drug dealers like me, or former drug dealers like me. And so I was really apprehensive initially, like to even tell this part of the story, because again, I never really told this part of it before. I talk about being incarcerated and, you know, my drug dealing, but this part has never really talked about. And so I'm thankful that you all have given me grace and allowed me to hear, like my mind was warped then, right? Just like someone who may be utilizing a certain substance, right? Jay-Z has a verse, one of his raps, he says that the irony of selling drugs is sort of like using it. I guess it's two sides of what substance abuse is, right? And that's not to mitigate or reduce or anything like that, or even compare like the same thing, right? But there is a sense of addiction. Like you get caught in a lifestyle, you're gonna do whatever you gotta do to get whatever that purpose is, right? It just so happened for me, my purpose was to make money and, you know, get out of a situation, right? And so yeah, so that's my story with it, and that's what I do now. I go inside correctional facilities like throughout the country, and I teach, you know, just reentry, education, financial literacy, all of those things that I was once using for nefarious reasons. Now I'm being able to use it to help the men and women when they come home out of incarceration, they can get employment, they got a skill set, they got workforce development. So now I realize that as I travel throughout the country, I have a forthcoming documentary. It's called Escaping the Odds of Recidivism, where I travel to about maybe 6 institutions throughout 7 different states or so, and we just kind of talked about some of the issues that men and women face as they come out. And the biggest issue is substance, right? And also housing as well. And so I said, okay, well, maybe that's something that I can do, right? I can bridge the gap with that. I can utilize some of the resources I have and maybe create a situation where I can provide that housing, right? I can be able to provide reentry services so that cycle doesn't repeat. And so that's my story, and I'm thankful for you all that you're able to kind of listen with an empathetic ear, because I know that that's what I didn't have. I didn't have empathy. And the stigma that's attached to substance use, people coming home from incarceration, there's that empathetic ear is not there, right? Like, we're demonizing these people, opposed to being able to be in a situation where you can collaborate with them. And so I was grateful to see the first presentation where there was the chief of police, right, connected with the other stakeholders, right? We need more of that in different communities. I said, wow, I was telling Brother Robert in the back, I said, imagine if that was going on in Chicago, right? That was in small town America, right? But imagine if it was on the west side or south side of Chicago, like the impact that it can have. And so I hope and I pray that through my experiences, through my pain, that I'm able to have something like that on the south side and west side of Chicago, right? So that young guy, right, who's thinking like how I was thinking, that he can do something different, right? And on the other side of that young guy, that young girl who may be going that route because popping pills are cool now, right? It's part of the culture now, right? In urban America, that they don't succumb and be a poster, you know what I mean? Yeah. And be a heartache to a parent. And so that's my piece, you all. And again, thank you all for giving me the grace to be able to tell my story.
What I tell you, right? What I tell you.